Hello, magical adventurers. Welcome to Fantasy Reimagined. Here fantasy stories come to life. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to join our enchanting journeys and never miss a new adventure. See you in the realms of wonder. Thinking of this, the King of the Galaxy had to consider how to deal with this emerging force. Namek? If I remember correctly, Namek, in addition to super combat power and various magical spells, also has a kind of beads called DragonBallZ that can make any wish come true. The Galactic King recalled the relevant classics in his mind and remembered that they were relevant records. However, something happened on Namek a few hundred years ago, and later investigations showed that the entire race had disappeared. Until Slug appeared later, there was no news about Dragon Ball. Moreover, Slug is also getting old as he grows older. If he has the Dragon Ball, there is no way he cannot restore his youth, so the matter of the Dragon Ball will slowly fade away. And now he discovered that the leader of this emerging force was actually a Namekian, which gave the King of the Galaxy another idea. To drive away wolves and swallow tigers, yes, it is recorded in the classics that Dragon Balls can fulfill many wishes, but if some rules are exceeded, the wishes cannot be fulfilled, but only he knows this, and other forces are not clear. If the news that the magic martial Holy Land has Dragon Balls spreads, then these ambitious guys will definitely fight for Dragon Balls and perhaps indirectly eliminate some forces. The more he thought about it, the more the King of Galaxy felt that this method was feasible. On Frieza's headquarters planet, an alien with a crocodile head is reporting. My lord, according to reliable information, a new force has emerged in the northern part of the northern galaxy, and its leader is a Namekian. Namekians? I heard that they have strong combat power and amazing magic, but their home planet was destroyed a long time ago. Frieza is known as the Emperor of the Universe, and he knows about some special races in the universe. Yes, my king. This is not the point. We have received accurate information that there is a bead in the Holy Land that can realize any original wish. It is called Dragon Ball. It is said that the reason why this force can rise rapidly has a lot to do with this. The crocodile-headed alien continued. Dragon Ball, according to the family records, the Namekians do have some magical abilities. If the leader of the other party is a Namekian, this possibility is not impossible. Frieza's Ice Clan has a very long history, and they also have records of such rare things in the universe. If that's the case, then I can go and take a look, but the credibility of this thing may not be very high. Forget it, I have nothing to do recently, so I might as well go and take a look, Frieza thought quickly in his mind. Notify them and immediately find out the location of the planet that this force is on. If you have any information, let me know immediately, Frieza said. Frieza knew that this kind of force that already had interstellar civilization was not like some forces that had not yet developed interstellar civilization and only had one planet. If he did not check it out in advance and alerted the enemy, by the time he arrived the enemy might have already run away. At the same time, some forces in the universe also knew this news, but most of them were unbelieving. After all, if there was such a good thing, who would spread it everywhere for no reason? He could search for it quietly, take the benefits himself, and eat alone. Wouldn't it be nice? The King of the Galaxy had a good plan, but those who could become the leader of a force were not all fools. How could they be easily calculated? Even so, there are still some forces that have set their sights on the new Holy Land of magic and martial arts, the most powerful of which is Slagu. Slug is a Namekian who was sent to the planet Slug at birth. Slug, who possesses an extremely evil heart, has demonstrated super high combat power since childhood. Unlike Piccolo, who shouts that he wants to rule the earth but has never ruled it. No one knows what Slagu's original name is, but after Slagu ruled the entire Slagu planet, he has always been named Slagu, and launched an invasion of the universe in the surrounding area. But now Slagu is old. Although his combat power is still very strong, the smell of decay makes Slagu very angry. He will get angry with his subordinates at the slightest move, and will directly destroy the planet at the worst. Suddenly hearing the information about the Dragon Ball, Slagu's memories hidden deep in his mind emerged. Although Slagu himself cannot make Dragon Balls, at this moment Slagu is convinced, because the memories in his mind will not be false. Slagu immediately gave an order to drive the Slagu planet towards the goal of the North Galaxy. The Slagu planet was transformed into a stellar spacecraft suitable for the survival of the demons a long time ago. The old Slagu brought his demon subordinates and destroyed planets in the universe over the years. Mowu Holy Land Sun Tian and his party also received the information at this time. Everyone knew that they had been exposed. Although it was not clear who was designing to frame them, it was no longer important. Spaceships from other forces have been appearing from time to time on the planets occupied by the magic martial Holy Land. All signs indicate that a war is coming. The Earth cannot be exposed. Since these forces want to fight, we will choose a planet as a battlefield to announce the birth of our force, said Sun Tian. The magic warriors of today are no longer the same as they were in the past, and there is no need to keep hiding. In that case, we will choose the planet Cassis as the battlefield. That planet is 100 times the size of the Earth and has 10 times the gravity of the Earth, so it won't be destroyed so easily, Piccolo said. Okay, Get ready in advance, Bulma. Spread the information and ideas. I'll see how many will come this time, Sun Tian said. Professionals do professional things, leave the fighting to them, and Bulma and others are responsible for the technology. In the end, Sun Tian, Vegeta, Piccolo, Chi-Tian, Raditz and Nappa went there, and the others stayed behind. The high-end combat power can be said to have come out in full force. The planet KALZ is surrounded by 4 stars and has no night all year round. There is no intelligent life on it yet. There are only some plants and some beasts. Don't underestimate these beasts. Although they have no intelligence, their combat power is not low, ranging from hundreds to tens of thousands. It was originally planned to be developed as a trial planet for the magic martial Holy Land. On the planet KALZ, Sun Tian and his group of 6 arrived at a base on the planet through interstellar teleportation. When the 6 arrived, the other personnel had already arranged to leave. After closing and hiding the interstellar teleportation, Sun Tian and others began to explore the planet. With 10 times the gravity, it is indeed a good trial planet. I don't know if this planet can be preserved after this battle. The news that 6 people brought the Dragon Ball to the planet KALZ has been secretly spread by Bulma and others. I believe that those who want to come to the Holy Land of magic and martial arts to make trouble have received relevant information. In the universe, in a disc-shaped spaceship, Frieza is leisurely sipping red wine. Without Champo and Dodoria bragging and flattering on the side, Frieza always feels that he has learned something. My king, I just received news that the Holy Land of magic and martial arts actually brought the Dragon Ball to the planet KALZ. I don't know what conspiracy is going on. Oh, it seems that our actions have been controlled by the other party. Let the entire Ginyu force set off immediately to find out the situation first, Frieza said. It seems that this emerging force, regardless of its military strength, is at least not inferior to their own in technology. They can pass on the information to themselves without being tracked. Although the Ginyu Force cannot be said to be the strongest team under Frieza, it can be said to be the most loyal team to Frieza. Even a cold-blooded Frieza would never doubt their loyalty. There are 5 members in the Ginyu Force. The Captain Ginyu has a combat power of 180,000. The members include Reikum with a combat power of 100,000, Bart with a combat power of 85,000, Geese with a combat power of 85,000, and Goldo with a combat power of 20,000, with the superpower of controlling the time of some areas. Although they are not the top in the universe, with Frieza behind them, not many people dare to provoke them. For this operation, Frieza specially brought the Ginyu Force with him. At this moment, the 5 Ginyu who received Frieza's order each took a small Maruko spaceship to the target planet. Captain, the king is taking us alone again this time. It seems that we are more important to the king. Goldo started the communication of the spacecraft. Do you know why the king trusts us so much? Because although the other guys may be stronger than us, they all have their own ideas, Likum said. Well, those people don't know the king's fear at all. They should serve the king well. I don't know who the opponent is this time. We need 5 people to act together. Ginyu first stopped everyone from communicating, and then he was a little confused. I heard that they are Namekians. They are very powerful. I wonder if they can beat our Ginyu special forces. We will arrive in 2 days. Let's take a rest and stay alert. I have a feeling that something will go wrong with this mission, Ginyu said and closed the communication. 2 days later, over the planet KALZ, 5 ball-like spaceships broke through the atmosphere and smashed straight to the ground. Soon 5 deep pits appeared on the ground. Soon Ginyu and his 5 companions flew out of the spaceship. This planet is so big the gravity is 10 times that of a standard planet. Likum felt the gravity of the planet. Don't say anything more, quickly find the target's location, gather all the Dragon Balls for the king, and wait for the king to come, Ginyu said. 10 times the standard planetary gravity has no effect on the Ginyu force with a combat power of more than 10,000. Beep, beep, Goldo's face showed a panic expression. What's wrong, Goldo? Do you have diarrhea? Likum looked frivolous. No, you guys check too. There are creatures on this planet with a combat power of 3W. There are more than 10 with a combat power of more than 2W, and there are also many with a combat power below 2W, Goldo said. You know, his combat power is only 10,000. If he didn't have superpowers, he would not be qualified to join the Ginyu Force at all. What? Impossible. Likum looked worried and started to investigate. No need to test. What's going on this planet? Why are there so many powerful creatures? I wonder if they are the Namekians, Ginyu said. Captain, that shouldn't be the case. If our combat power is only 30,000, Lord Frieza would not have let our Ginyu Force come. You know, we can be Lord Frieza's ace team. Bart had no idea how low his strength actually was. After all, the tasks usually given to them would not exceed their strength. Okay, spread out and search. Goldo, you are too weak to join me. The 3 of you, spread out and search for creatures with high combat power reactions. Meet up here in 30 minutes. Ginyu didn't know what was going on, so he just gave the order. Yes, Captain, the 3 replied. Then they started a strange dance saying some second-year lines. Ginyu Force, fight, fight, and scattered. When Ginyu and the others came, Sun Tian and the other 6 had already sensed it, but they habitually restrained their breath. Otherwise Ginyu and the others would not be looking for them everywhere, but would be scared and run away. Vegeta, do you know who is coming? Sun Tian asked, although Sun Tian knew it was the Ginyu Special Forces after a quick scan with his spiritual sense. The strength is about 18W, and there is one with 10W, two with 85,000, and one with 20,000. If I'm not mistaken, they should be members of Frieza's Ginyu Force. It is said that their captain's combat power was already 10W 10 years ago. The current strength is really weak, Vegeta said. Is it that Ginyu Force Frieza's ace team? Raditz and Nappa were a little surprised. Although their current combat power has long surpassed this so-called ace team, they are still afraid in their hearts. Brother, what are you worried about? With your current combat power you can easily beat them. Sun Tian was speechless when he saw the situation of the two. No wonder in 10 years Vegeta's combat power can reach 5 million, while the combat power of these two is only more than 200,000. That's what you say, but Latitz knew that this must be the so-called inner demon. Vegeta, let's leave this battle to Nappa and Raditz. We don't need to deal with these small fry. Sun Tian turned and said to Vegeta. Whatever, I'm not interested in this kind of stuff. Vegeta seemed casual, but in fact he was also trying to let the two break the magic barrier in his heart. Then you two go, try to give him a gift before Frieza arrives. Although Nappa and Raditz were a little afraid, as a fighting nation, they were also eager to try it out. Besides, they also knew that this was Vegeta and Kakarot's intention to help them break their inner demons. The two of them went in two different directions. Raditz flew to Likum, Nappa flew to Bart, and as for the other three, they ignored them for the time being. Likum was flying towards a target creature with a combat power of 24,000. Just as he was about to reach the target area, a terrifying aura came from afar at high speed. Beep beep, the detector alarm sounded, and suddenly a puff of white smoke rose. What's going on? This is the latest detector that can detect combat power up to 150,000. Is there a creature with more than 150,000 on this planet? Likum's body, which was originally flying at high speed, stopped. Although Likum did not know how to use chi, he had been fighting on the front line for a long time, and his instinct told him that a powerful force was flying towards him. It appears. I seem to have seen this figure somewhere before. Likum looked at the figure that was getting closer and closer. After a while, a burly man with long flowing hair appeared in front of Likum. Who are you? Are you a subordinate of the Namekian? Although Likum was surprised by the speed of the person coming, his own combat power was as high as 10W, which also gave Likum confidence. Ginyu Force? Who are you? Lattice looked at the pineapple-haired man in front of him. Only when he really faced him could he know how much he had improved over the years. In the past, Lattice might not dare to speak loudly as long as he heard about the Ginyu Force, but now, Lattice was absolutely sure that he could get rid of the opponent within 10 moves. Oh, I didn't expect you to know our Ginyu Force. It seems you have some strength. Likum never forgot the captain's teachings. Even if he was alone, he still twisted his body and danced. Ginyu Force, Reikum. Raditz was immediately amused. Although he had heard Vegeta say before that the Ginyu Force loved to do such boring tricks, he still wanted to laugh when he saw it. Ha ha ha, this is so funny, such an ugly pose. Raditz laughed loudly, pointing at Reikum with one hand and holding his belly with the other. Who the hell are you? How dare you laugh at me like that? Likum was very angry. This was the latest fighting posture developed by their captain. You used to be so high up, so of course you wouldn't know a nobody like me. Listen carefully, I'm Raditz. I also have another identity, a Saiyan. Likum, you were also involved in the destruction of our ancestral planet back then. In that case, are you ready? Raditz spoke in a high-handed manner as if he was talking about something very ordinary. What Saiyan? I remember that you were the follower of little Vegeta before, but I didn't expect you to be still alive. Likum was relieved when he heard that it was a Saiyan. Although the fighting power just now burst his fighting power test glasses, he didn't care about a mere Saiyan. It must be a detector failure just now, and he comforted himself in his heart. In that case, it's just right to clean it up for the king, Likum continued to say. That Likum burst out with super fighting power. For a moment, the ground shook all around, and a momentum scared the beasts around and made them run away. Likum didn't think that Latitz had a stronger fighting power than him, so he attacked Latitz head-on at a very fast speed. However, he went fast and retreated even faster. A trench several hundred meters long appeared in the forest on the ground, and the tall trees several meters in diameter on both sides were directly broken. Likum climbed up with difficulty, spitting blood from his mouth. He looked at Latitz in disbelief. No, it's impossible. How can you be so strong? A Saiyan can't be so strong. Who are you? You have to know that although the Saiyans used to be known as a fighting nation, in fact there were not many people in the entire Vegeta planet whose combat power exceeded 10,000, only a few dozen people. Even the strongest Saiyan king at that time could barely reach 15,000. The strong man in front of him could cause serious damage to him with one move, and his combat power was at least over 20W. Why not? I'm just the weakest one among us, but even so, killing you is as easy as an ant. Lattice laughed madly. At this moment, the demonic barrier in his heart was broken, and an inexplicable aura suddenly emanated from Lattice. 25W, 28W, 33W, 48W, 75W. Latiz's surging aura instantly suffocated Likum. Impossible, how could this happen? This kind of energy and oppression can only be felt from the king. Likum's powerful strength prevented him from fainting, but at this moment he wanted to faint so much. In the distance, Sun Tian and the other four felt the breath of Latiz and smiled happily. Latiz broke through the barrier early in the morning, and his combat power soared to 75W, which was 3 times more than before. At the same time, the combat power detection glasses of Jinyugis, Guldabat and the other four exploded, and Nappa also felt the soaring breath of Latiz. How is it possible? This planet actually hides such a strong enemy. Could it be that Namekian? Jinyu was a little panicked. Captain, this power just now? Guldo had no idea what was going on. It should be someone from this new force. It seems that we underestimated this force. Jinyu knew that the breath just now, even if he couldn't sense it, but it could still be transmitted to him from such a distance. It would definitely not be lower than his. Ha ha ha, Likum, I have to thank you. This is a thank you gift. Just go on your way. I'll have all your teammates go down to accompany you in a while. Latit stabilized, feeling the power erupting from his body, and directly sentenced Likum to death. No, you can't kill me or King Frieza won't let you go, Likum shouted in horror. However, it was of no use. With the release of Raditz's super powerful energy bomb, Likum turned into ashes. The Jinyu forces have a bad start, and the second best player, Reikum, dies. After easily killing Reikum, Raditz now felt that the legendary Jinyu force was nothing more than a thing. Turning around and flying towards another target, this time Latiz directly targeted the strongest Jinyu and the weakest Guldo. Thinking of Sun Tian's instructions before they set off, the Jinyu special forces are nothing to them now, but you have to be careful of their captain, Jinyu's magical powers. Nappa felt Latiz's breakthrough, and while he was happy for Latiz, he was also making a comparison. You know, when they were a trio before, Nappa was always far ahead, and then Latiz went to Earth, and the gap between the two began to narrow. Fortunately, after arriving on Earth, he systematically studied the martial arts of Earth again and barely maintained his leading position in combat power. But now, Latiz has broken through, and his combat power has skyrocketed to 75W. Nappa knows that if he doesn't make a breakthrough again, he may not be able to catch up with Latiz in this life. Thinking of this, Nappa speeded up again and flew towards Bart at a high speed. Jinyu and the others had their detector destroyed by Raditz's sudden surge of energy, and now they were like headless flies. Bart and Gis had no choice but to not bother to investigate, and they both flew back to the place they had been visiting. The same goes for Jinyu and Guldo. Without the detector, the two had to move closer to the agreed meeting point. Nappa felt that the four energies were gathering in one direction, so he had to change direction. Although Latiz's combat power increased dramatically, he had just broken through and had no time to adapt to this surge of combat power. Therefore, he tried to control this power as soon as possible while flying. After feeling that the four Jinyu began to gather, he did not speed up. And he also believed that with Nappa's combat power of 28W, even if he met these four people at the same time, he could easily kill them. Of course, Latiz himself broke through, and he also intended to let Nappa break through the magic barrier and break through in one fell swoop. Bart is known as the fastest in the universe. Although he is a bit boastful, in the Jinyu Special Forces, no one can match him except Jinyu. Not long after, Bart joined Ginyu and the other two. Captain, what happened just now? Suddenly there was a surge of energy? Bart saw Ginyu, and his panicked heart calmed down. He believed that no matter how strong the opponent was, he could not be the opponent of their captain. It should be that Namekian, but I didn't expect him to be so strong. Ginyu was actually a little panicked. Although the fighting power that burst out just now was very far away, it was able to blow up his detector in an instant, and its fighting power was immediately above his. At the same time, Jinyu was also a little happy. With such high combat power, his body must be very strong. He just didn't know if he could block his magical powers. Nappa felt that the three combat powers had gathered together, and another force was also approaching at a very fast speed. He couldn't help but rush directly to Jinyu. Although Jinyu's combat power was very high in his perception, for Nappa, who already had 28W, this combat power could still be dealt with, especially since the change of Raditz just now gave Nappa a shot in the arm. The psychological effect on the Jinyu special forces had disappeared, and they were no longer afraid. Here they come, be careful. Jinyu looked at the distance. No, it's Jizz. Bart saw that the person coming was not an enemy but his CP partner. No, watch out behind you. Suddenly Jinyu yelled at G-Eyes who was flying towards them. Ha ha ha, it's too late, take this move from Uncle Nappa. While flying, Nappa suddenly opened his mouth slowly, and an energy bomb slowly took shape. No, Captain, save me. Jizz panicked. They were about to reach the rendezvous point, but unexpectedly, Nappa showed up, and it was the Saiyan that he hated the most. At that time, Gias wanted to get rid of Nappa before reuniting with the captain, but he didn't know that he was no match for him when they started fighting. He had to get into Nappa's mouth cannon and suddenly pulled away and flew away, but G still overestimated himself, or it could be said that he underestimated Nappa's combat power. Although he flew for a while, he was still hit directly by Nappa's mouth cannon. How is it possible? It was too late for Jinyu and the other two to react. They watched G.I.'s being killed by Nappa. Ha ha ha, I never thought that my uncle Nappa would be able to kill the legendary Ginyu Force one day. Nappa didn't even look at G.I.'s and faced the other three Jinyu. Nappa? Are you Nappa, the little follower of that low-level wild monkey? Goldo seemed to recall some bad memories and stared at Nappa. Hey, isn't this Goldo? He seems to still be so foul-mouthed after being beaten up by Vegeta. Nappa looked at the dwarf in front of him. Thinking back to when Nappa and Vegeta went to hand in the mission, Goldo relied on the fact that he was a member of the Ginyu Force and called them all wild monkeys, but was beaten up by Vegeta. Shut up, aren't you dead? Ah, I see, you actually faked your death. Goldo seemed to have discovered some secret. Yes, not only am I not dead, but Vegeta, who beat you so hard that you couldn't take care of yourself, is also not dead. Nappa was also unhappy with Goldo, a guy who relied on some superpowers to get to the top, actually looked down on them back then. Okay, Goldo. Jinyu stopped this meaningless mouth cannon. I didn't expect you to be mixed up with Namekians, but do you think you can fight against the king like this? Turning to Nappa, he said. That Ginyu knew the inside story. It was Frieza who destroyed planet Vegeta himself. Otherwise, facing the Saiyans who transformed into giant apes, even their Ginyu Force would have to suffer a lot. We are enemies. Don't think we don't know what happened back then. Nappa's anger ignited unconsciously when he thought about his home planet being destroyed by the group of people in front of him. Oh, it seems that you know, so what do you want to do now? Defeat us? Jinyu carefully compared the strength of Nappa's just attack and felt that the previous energy was definitely not the Nappa in front of him. Although the Nappa in front of him was also very strong, Jinyu thought he could still deal with it. Not knock down, but kill. I think Frieza should be here soon, and I don't want you to be in the way. The two sides are on the verge of war. Arrogant. Ginyu has never been treated like this before. With the strength of the Ginyu Force, they are usually the ones who kill others. Even those who are stronger than them dare not offend them because of Frieza. Really? In that case, let's fight. After saying that, Nappa began to release the energy in his body. A force far beyond the one that killed G.I.'s just now burst out, and the ground under repair was shaking because it could not withstand this force. How is it possible? It can become stronger. Bart, interfere. Goldo, control. Jinyu felt the power released by Nappa. Yes, Captain, Bart and Goldo replied. The three of them also began to release energy. Bart attacked Nappa from all directions at an extremely fast speed. Ha ha ha, even if you are strong, so what? I, Bart, have the fastest speed in the universe, Bart's voice came. Just a second later and Bart was stunned. There was no trace of Nappa there. Bart, be careful behind. Jinyu was also shocked. Although Bart's speed was not as fast as his, it was very fast, but now, it's too late. A devilish voice came to Bart's ears. Boom, Bart was hit hard by Nappa, and he was blown into the ground like a cannonball. Goldo, take care of yourself. Seeing this, Jinyu knew that Nappa's strength was far beyond Bart's. He took a deep breath and attacked Nappa at high speed. Seeing this, Goldo quickly ran to the deep pit, only to see that Bart had been shot through the heart and was dead. He couldn't help but take a breath. Here, Jinyu and Nappa were fighting together, but with Jinyu's combat power of only 18W, he was more defensive than offensive for a while. Jinyu, what's wrong, haven't you eaten? You have so little strength, are you going to tickle me? Nappa attacked and laughed at him. Asshole, when did the little follower beside Vegeta become so strong? Is he still a Saiyan? Jinyu tried his best to parry. The more he fought, the more terrified he was. Ha ha ha, arrogant Captain Jinyu, show your strength. If this is all you can do, it's not good for your reputation. Nappa hit Ginyu with a heavy punch, knocking him hundreds of meters away. Impossible, how could this happen? Half of Jinyu's arm was broken, and he was hit in the heart by Nappa just now. If he hadn't reacted in time, Jinyu might have died. Having lost half of his arm, Jinyu's fighting power was greatly reduced, and there was no possibility of success. What? Why can't I move? Suddenly Nappa, who was flying towards Ginyu, stopped in midair. Time stopped. Goldo appeared not far away with a bulging belly, a tightly closed mouth and 4 eyes emitting strange light. Well done, Goldo. Ha ha ha, Nappa, your body is mine. Ginyu didn't expect that Goldo would play a role at the critical moment, and used his superpowers to imprison Nappa in the air. Jinyu stretched out his limbs, and a strange golden light emerged from his body. It was obvious that he wanted to perform some moves. Nappa had a bad premonition in his heart, and a crisis appeared in his mind. No, he must not be hit. Goldo tried his best to display his superpowers, but the gap was too big after all, and he broke out in cold sweat. Suddenly a golden light shot out from Jinyu, and Nappa felt that his soul was locked. A suction force came from the outside world, and his soul seemed to be pulled together by something, about to leave his body. No, I must not be sucked out. Nappa was shocked, and an unprecedented power came from the depths of his soul. Get back! With the support of this force, Nappa roared, and his soul was forcibly pulled back. Oh no, what is this? Jinyu's soul had already left his body but suddenly stopped in the air. A giant ape shadow appeared behind Nappa, and a violent aura came towards him. Jinyu felt like he was being stared at by a prehistoric beast. His soul was bounced back involuntarily. Jinyu, who returned to his body, felt unwell and weakened all of a sudden. However, due to Nappa's mutation, Goldo's ability rebounded and he fainted. As Jinyu's ultimate move was broken, Nappa's aura suddenly soared and continued to increase from 28W, 36W, 48W, 69W, 88W, 112W. It didn't stop until it reached 112W. Feeling the power in his body, Nappa let out a thunderous roar. The sound waves came, and the ground within a radius of dozens of kilometers was directly shattered. Goldo and Bart's bodies exploded directly, and Jinyu was also directly knocked unconscious. Nappa vented his emotions, and a weak qigong blew the fainted Jinyu into pieces. "Congratulations, Nappa," the voice of Latiz came from not far away. It turned out that Latiz had arrived a long time ago, but he didn't make a move because he saw that Nappa could easily handle it. If Nappa couldn't block Jinyu's trick just now, with Latiz ordered by Sun Tian, he could also make Jinyu return empty-handed in time. But I didn't expect that Nappa actually summoned the Saiyan giant ape phantom hidden in his body with his own ability, and broke Jinyu's trick in one fell swoop. Haha, Latiz, I surpassed you again. It seems that I am indeed an excellent warrior from a famous family. Once I broke through, I directly increased my chi by nearly 4 times. Nappa is very happy now. He is finally no longer a burden. Now he and Raditz can fight even against Frieza in his primary state, but I don't know if Frieza has become stronger over the years. The Jinyu force was wiped out, and the two did not stay for long, and flew directly to Sun Tian and the others. In the universe, Frieza was heading towards the planet Kals, and suddenly an alien with blue skin came forward. "My lord, this is bad. We just detected that the life force of the Jinyu force has disappeared," the blue-skinned alien reported tremblingly. "What? Jinyu's combat power is now 180,000, which is an increase of 80,000 compared to 10 years ago. Could it be that he encountered a Super Namekian, another slug?" Frieza found it hard to believe. "My lord, we just detected 2 extremely strong force reactions on that planet, but now the reactions have disappeared." "Super strong? How strong is it?" Frieza asked. One power reaction was 75W, but soon after another reaction appeared. 112W? This combat power is not bad, but since the other party killed Jinyu, let him pay with me. You know, even Frieza's normal state is only 1.68W. The strength of these two forces is infinitely close to his normal state. Frieza is a genius of the Ice Clan. Although he doesn't practice much, he has now entered the mature stage, and his combat power has naturally increased by more than 3 times. You should know that the Ice Clan is frozen from birth until their combat power can break through the ice and enter the growth stage. The general frozen clan, when they can break through the ice, have a combat power of at least 1000W, but they cannot fully control this powerful force. They have to compress this powerful combat power by changing their body shape until they can master this power skillfully. By changing their body shape through triple compression, the Ice Clan can compress their own combat power by 100 times, which means that once the Ice Clan is born, their combat power is at least 10W in normal state. When Frieza broke out of the ice, his combat power had reached a terrifying 5300W. Even in normal state, he had an incredible combat power of 53W. As long as he doesn't encounter some old monsters in the universe, he can basically walk sideways. Now, Frieza's normal state is 168W. Once he returns to his original appearance, his combat power will soar to 168 million. If it is in full power state, it can reach more than 330 million. Of course, once this happens, it will consume a lot of his lifespan. Unless it is absolutely increased, he generally won't do this. Since his birth, Frieza has basically maintained a triple compression form. His combat power is compressed to 1/10 of his normal state, and even so, he is almost invincible in the universe. Apart from his father Claude and his elder brother Kira, there are few people that Frieza fears. Now, when he heard that the opponent's combat power had reached 112W, he was just shocked. Even if he didn't transform, he could deal with this combat power. "But if those who dare to kill me cannot serve me, I will let you know what fear is." Frieza was thinking about how to deal with the other party, and the cold aura emanated from his body unconsciously. The entire spaceship suddenly became quiet. Although they felt this powerful force more than once, they still felt a little panic in their hearts. "Let the spaceship go at full speed," Frieza ordered. "I can't help but want to see my future new subordinates." "Haha, brother Kira, let's see how your mecha team compares with mine." Frieza has automatically classified these 2 unknown strong men as his subordinates. "As for resistance, do you really think that my sword is not sharp?" In the Galactic Underworld Department, King Yama can't sit still since Reikum and others reported one after another. Although not many people died, the weight of the death is not light. What's going on? The Frieza Ginyu special forces that are rampant in the Northern Galaxy have actually reported collectively. Is there anyone in the world who dares to provoke Frieza? King Yama had a headache. The recent death phenomenon in the world of the living is normal. However, King Yama does not have the ability of King Kai, who can observe the situation in the world of the living at will. King Yama thought about it and decided to report the matter to me, King Kai of the North. The Milky Way is divided into the east, south, west, north, and the center of the Milky Way. Similarly, the underworld is managed by the four kings of the east, south, west, and north. At the same time, there is also the mysterious great king of the world. Once the creatures of the entire Milky Way die, they will first report to Yama. Therefore, although the status of Yama King is not as high as the four kings and the great king of the world, he is above all the gods in the world. You can directly contact any of the kings, and you have the power to talk directly to the great king of the world. Of course, King Yama would not report such a small matter to the great King Kai. Do you really think the great King Kai would care about such a small matter? If he wanted to, the great King Kai could easily kill Frieza thousands of times with just a glance. Moreover, even if there were four kings, if they had not used their own power to seal the Metroid warriors who were causing trouble in ancient times, any of them would have the power to fight against Frieza. But now, the four kings are powerless, otherwise how could they tolerate Frieza's existence? North Kai King. North Kai King is driving his sports car for a ride on the planet Kai King, which is only about the size of the moon. It stands to reason that as the King Kai who is in charge of one side, his main planet can only be so small, but it was because of King Kai of the North that he accidentally offended the god of destruction. Poor King Kai of the North could only watch as the god of destruction destroyed his own planet, leaving only 1/10,000th of it as a facade. If it weren't for the fact that they were in the same system, I'm afraid that the god who controls the entire northern galaxy doesn't even have his own main star. What, King Yama? Are you sure it's the Jinyu Force? King Kai slammed the brakes and stopped the sports car. Lord King Kai, it is absolutely true. The souls of these people arrived in the underworld just now within less than 20 minutes. The voice of King Yama sounded in King Kai's mind. Okay, I'll check it out. I haven't paid attention to the situation in the lower world for a long time. The North King interrupted the conversation. Ever since the Ice Clan came into being and made the entire northern galaxy a mess, the North King has rarely paid attention to the situation in the lower world. Out of sight, out of mind. Anyway, this clan has a combat power of less than billion. Even if they make trouble, they won't destroy the human world. The antenna-like tentacles on King Kai's head moved, and soon, an evil aura appeared in King Kai's perception. Hey, where is this devil going? He looks like he is very happy, King Ninghuo of the North Realm said. Shouldn't he have a sad face when his subordinates died? Continuing to explore in the direction Frieza was heading, suddenly two powerful fighting forces appeared in King Kai's perception. These two people seemed to be Saiyans. Remember that they were exterminated by Frieza decades ago? How come some of them survived? But King Kai was also a little confused. When did the Saiyans' combat power reach hundreds of thousands? The North King Kai detected Latitz and Nappa. The two who had just broken through could not perfectly restrain the sudden increase in energy. Well, there are many beasts on this planet, and their strength is not bad, but there are no sentient creatures. King Kai quickly investigated the area and got a better understanding of this lower world planet. Suddenly, King Kai got excited. Divine power. This aura actually carries divine power. It seems that its status is almost as good as mine. The North Kai King couldn't believe it. During a casual exploration, he actually discovered such an existence in the lower realm. Sun Tian felt as if he was being watched by something, so he looked up at the sky. Kakarot, what's wrong? Vegeta asked. Nothing, I just felt as if something was watching us, but it's gone now, Sun Tian replied. At this moment, Latitz and Nappa also came back from afar. Brother Nappa, congratulations on your breakthrough, Sun Tian said. Congratulations, Uncle Nappa. Chi Tian stepped forward. He was the weakest among the 6 people in the group, but fortunately, as long as he broke through, his combat power would be far beyond what it is now. Vegeta gave the two an appreciative look, and Piccolo was also happy for them. Now there was someone to practice with him. On King Kai's planet, King Kai of the North had withdrawn his exploration. You know, if the other party is a god like himself, it is very rude to directly explore like this. King Kai of the North continued to target Frieza, trying to figure out what Frieza wanted to do, but he soon lost his composure. After a day, Frieza's spaceship finally arrived in outer space on the planet Casus. Here it comes. Sun Tian has locked onto Frieza's spaceship with his spiritual sense. Vegeta and the other 4 also felt the evil aura from Frieza at the first moment. The combat strength is about 150 W or more. It is indeed stronger than before, Vegeta said, revealing a strong fighting spirit. Of course we are making progress and others are definitely making progress too, said Sun Tian. However, if it was just this level of combat power, they would not worry at all. But everyone knew that the opponent had triple transformation, maybe a 4th transformation, and this was what they were worried about. In the spaceship in outer space, Frieza looked at the planet in front of him. He knew that the 2 subordinates he had chosen were right there. Your Majesty, we have arrived. Shall we land now? Prepare for landing. Yes, my king. The spacecraft quickly rushed into the gravitational range of the planet Cassie, and soon, under the pull of the planet, it rushed into the atmosphere and entered the planet. Soon the spacecraft landed in a desolate plain, and a group of aliens of various appearances flew out of the spacecraft and guarded the exit of the spacecraft. Frieza flew out slowly in a small airship. My lord, we have landed. We just checked and found that there are dozens of people with combat power of over 10,000 on this planet. How should we deal with them? An alien with 2 horns on his head asked. Oh, I didn't expect that such a remote planet would have so many powerful warriors. I really didn't expect it, Frieza laughed. Frieza didn't detect the specific situation of the planet and didn't know that this planet was actually a beast planet. Moreover, because the gravity was 10 times the standard gravity, the beasts on this planet were not ordinary strong. If they were not without wisdom, once civilization was born and they knew how to practice, I'm afraid it would be normal to have a combat power of over 100,000. Haven't you found the place with the highest energy intensity yet? Frieza asked. My king, I don't know why the 2 powerful reactions before have become lower. One is only 32W, and the other is slightly higher, with 650,000. Oh, you can actually change your aura, or did I overestimate it before? What trick did you use? It looks like it will be very interesting, Frieza laughed. At this moment, an alien suddenly rushed out of the spaceship. My lord, there were several extremely high energy reactions just now, and they are approaching us rapidly. Super high. How high is super high? Frieza asked. All above 200,000, a total of 6 shares, and the other 2 shares are above 1.5 million. What, 150W? Are you sure it's correct? Frieza was surprised. This is different from before. But you dared to rush forward directly. It seems that your combat power is far more than 150W. Maybe you can force me to transform into the second stage, Frieza thought to himself, and a fighting spirit slowly emanated from him. You know, Frieza rarely takes action. After all, he is too strong and it is difficult to find an opponent, and facing Farah and Crowder he is no match for them. Frieza is not a masochist, so he will naturally not seek abuse. Besides, the Frozen Demon Clan is not a kind person. They fight and kill each other among their own kind, which is extremely cold-blooded. King Kai of the North had been following Frieza's whereabouts. When he found out that Frieza had entered this planet, he had already understood something. It seemed that someone in the human world had challenged Frieza without knowing it, but in terms of implementation, King Kai of the North was not optimistic about Sun Tian and his party, although they seemed to be very powerful, and someone actually had a high-level divine aura. Sun Tian and his party had already discovered Frieza when he appeared in outer space. When Frieza landed, they naturally took the initiative to attack. Just fly over there, no need to hide your aura. Vegeta took the lead and flew towards the landing point. Sun Tianbike and others followed closely behind. Frieza was sitting on a small airship. Since he knew that the other party was coming directly for him, there was no need for him to go looking for him in person. Yeah, here they come so fast. Frieza looked straight ahead. Although he couldn't sense the chi, he knew who Frieza was. From the speed of the group's flight, he had already gotten a rough idea of their strength. Frieza, you're finally here, haha. An angry voice came from a distance. Who are you? You know my name. But you still dare to come here to die? Frieza listened to the voice of the person coming and felt a little familiar. Soon Vegeta and his group appeared in front of Frieza. Vegeta, it's you. Haha, I see, what a great trick to cheat your own death and escape. If I remember correctly, Champo and Dodoria also died in your hands 10 years ago. Frieza looked at Vegeta and many things suddenly became clear to him. Raditz's sudden death, Vegeta and Nappa also died in the front line in the following years, and then Champo and Dodoria found 2 super powerful forces that they wanted to recruit but lost their traces. Everything was Vegeta's fault, but they didn't expect that Vegeta, who only had 10,000 combat power back then, has now reached millions. If I had known earlier, I shouldn't have stayed to observe the Super Saiyan. Ha ha ha, of course it was me. Did you think I was dead? Let me tell you, Frieza, don't think I don't know that the Saiyan planet was not destroyed by a meteorite impact. It was you. Everything was caused by you. Vegeta's decades of suppressed anger suddenly burst out. Oh, so you are here for revenge today? With your mere 2 million combat power? Frieza kept smiling. Looking at Raditz and Nappa behind, Frieza knew about the only 3 Saiyans that survived decades ago. At that time he just wanted to observe to see if there really was the legendary Super Saiyan. But later, even Vegeta, as a genius, only had a combat power of 18,000, so he didn't care much, but he also asked his subordinates to report the situation of the 3 people. Frieza, don't think I don't know that your current form is not your strongest form. Transform. Otherwise you are not my opponent at all. Although Vegeta wanted to kill Frieza directly, he also knew that even Frieza in his current form was not so easy to kill. Although his attack might be much worse, his own defense would not be reduced much. Oh, you actually knew that this king could transform? Let me guess, was it Champo? Jinyu, or who told you? Frieza said unexpectedly. That's why Frieza can still remain calm even though Vegeta's power is obviously over 2 million. You know, every time the seal is lifted, Frieza's power increases several times. You know, the last time I destroyed your planet Vegeta, I didn't even transform, and now my power is more than twice as strong as before. Vegeta, I have to say you are really stupid. You dare to show up after faking your death, Frieza continued, looking calm. Stop talking. Nonsense, Vegeta. If you don't go up, leave him to me, the Demon King. Piccolo couldn't stand it anymore. The two of them kept talking nonsense and there was no end to it. Who is this? A Namekian, really rare, but you are much worse than Slug. I had high hopes for you, Frieza said. Slug? I don't know him. It seems you are very familiar with us Namekians, said the great Demon King Piccolo. Vegeta, how about I take the lead and you follow later? He turned to Vegeta and said, You bastards, you all look down on me, Frieza? You can pick and choose as you please? Frieza felt that his dignity was hit. Okay, but don't blame me if you get killed. Vegeta also wanted to see what level Piccolo had reached, although he knew that Piccolo had been getting stronger over the years. Frieza, come on, I've been listening to your stories, let me see what you can do. Piccolo saw Vegeta agreed, and he shouted loudly. A powerful energy burst out, and a white light was emitted from his body. Oh, it seems that you have some skills, but you are not my opponent. Frieza watched Piccolo slowly leave the small airship and gently tapped his tail, and the small airship flew back and stopped at the exit of the spaceship. What precise control? Piccolo was shocked. The two of them quickly fought together. One was a Namekian with a combat power of 185 W, and the other was a frozen demon with a combat power of 168 W in normal state. The difference in combat power of 100,000 or so was not a big difference for two people with a combat power of more than 1 million. In this case, it all depends on the martial arts cultivation of the two people. As soon as he made a move, Piccolo was in an absolute advantage and almost overwhelmed Frieza. It seemed that the difference in fighting power was not much, but Piccolo himself was a martial arts master. And with the martial arts learned from Earth, his control over strength was simply not comparable to that of Frieza, who was born with tens of millions. Every attack of Frieza was always easily avoided by Piccolo. If it weren't for Frieza's amazing defense, it would not be just a simple beating. Ha ha ha, it turns out that the martial arts of Frieza, who is famous in the universe, is so weak. Piccolo laughed while attacking. Shut up, you low-class race. Frieza was very angry. Obviously the speed and strength of the two were almost the same. Why did it turn out like this when they fought? Is my martial arts really that bad? Impossible, absolutely impossible, Frieza thought while dealing with Piccolo's attack. There was no way. Frieza's basic combat power was too high when he was born, so he could break all the enemies with one force when facing them. He never thought that one day he would encounter such a situation. Boom! Frieza was once again blasted away by Lord Piccolo. As a genius, Frieza just didn't meet the right opponent in the past, but now with the pressure of Piccolo, Frieza's various moves have improved rapidly. From passive defense in the beginning to being able to fight Piccolo on equal terms now. Haha, that's all, come again. Frieza attacked Piccolo again, and was even a little relieved to discover his weakness in advance. This guy is improving so fast. He hasn't transformed yet, and his energy is obviously lower than mine, but he has gradually caught up with my pace. No, if this continues, Vegeta and the others will be in trouble. As an opponent, Piccolo naturally discovered Frieza's changes. In order to improve quickly, Frieza didn't rush to transform to crush him with force. Sun Tian and other bystanders naturally saw the problem. Although Frieza was strong, he relied entirely on strength at the beginning of the battle, with little skill, but now, he has gradually caught up. Frieza's subordinates around him never thought that Frieza, who was known as the Emperor of the Universe, was always at a disadvantage. King Kai of the North, who had been paying attention to the battlefield, also widened his eyes. I didn't expect that there would be such a powerful person in the lower world who could fight Frieza and still have the upper hand. But this energy is also very evil. King Kai of the North felt a little sad. Aren't all Namekians peace-loving? Why is there a lot of evil energy in the energy of this Namekian? King Kai of the North couldn't figure it out.